Hey everybody, welcome to the show today. Today we're going to be diving in and talking about how to start and grow a business. We're going to talk about the step-by-step process where you can actually be successful, walk you all the way through everything that you need to know to be successful to actually operate and run a business. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at Credit Suite. What we do is we help business owners obtain credit and obtain financing for their business. So if you're interested in getting business credit, then all you have to do is go to our, actually you can text us anytime during this presentation. Text the letters EIN to the number 855-982-1820. That's 855-982-1820, and we'll get you a free guide on building business credit. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've owned many businesses in my career. Here at Credit Suite, we've been in business a few years. Very, very, very successful. Learned a lot of things along the way of what to do and what not to do. And today I'm going to map out this whole process. I'm going to teach you everything to do about running a business, owning a business, and starting a business from scratch, from how to pick your name, how to pick your industry, how to pick your product to sell, to setting up your bank account and your EIN number, all the way through to how to market this, how to scale this, how to test the marketing, how to do everything that you need to do to go through and be successful in starting a business. So the very first step in starting a business is you want to select what industry you want to be in or what product or service you want to sell. So you want to do this, you really want to come up with multiple different ideas or concepts that may actually work for you, okay? So, if you have a good idea, great. Try to think of more. The more ideas you have, the more options you'll have of getting something that will actually be successful. Choose something that you have a passion for, okay? Something that you really love to do or you think you're really going to enjoy. Look, running a business takes a lot of time. I mean, there are days that I may spend 12 to 16 hours a day working, and especially in the beginning stages. I mean, there might be 20-hour days that you may have. You might be working all day, you come home, you spend a little time with your family, you go back to work and get very little sleep. So for you to do this much work, you have to really, really, really love what you do. If you don't really, really, really love what you do, then unfortunately it's going to be very difficult to be successful in running a business. So it's not really a cliche that you've got to be passionate about what you do to be successful. You really do. And for no other reason than beyond the fact that you've got to put a lot of time into running a business. I love what I do. I love every aspect of what I do. So it's very easy for me to go to work because I love the work, because I love what I do. And a lot of very successful entrepreneurs are exactly the same way. They're very passionate about what they do. So to them, work doesn't even seem like work. It seems like more fun than work. That's exactly how passionate you want to be about the idea that you may have. Now, the most successful and profitable businesses solve a really big problem. So you want to choose a business that solves a big problem and relieves people of their pain. Okay, it's a very big deal. Okay, I've heard before that it's easier to sell painkillers than it is to sell vitamins, meaning it's easier to get people out of pain or solve a problem they're having to relieve them of pain than actually helping prevent the pain to begin with, because most people don't even appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I just saw something like that today. I saw a product that's designed that if your YouTube videos ever get deleted, you have them stored and backed up. And I saw this and I thought, that's going to be a tough product to sell because most people aren't even going to care about this unless they've actually had their YouTube videos deleted. If they haven't, then this is something they don't even usually think about until it's too far gone. So that's exactly it. And that's a great example. Selling a product to help people prevent their YouTube videos from getting deleted probably is not going to be nearly as possible or as popular as a product that helps people retrieve videos that were deleted from YouTube. And that's really a perfect example of solving a problem, relieving people from pain. Okay, so the bigger problem you can solve, the more successful ultimately you're going to be. So here at Credit Suite, we help people get financing and business credit for their companies. Our goal is to solve what we call the cash access problem. We see that entrepreneurs need money to be able to set up their business, start and grow, but it's really tough for them to access the capital they need to be successful. That's a huge problem. One of the biggest reasons that businesses fail in this country is the fact that they cannot access the money they need. They cannot access the capital that they actually need. So being able to solve a huge problem of helping business owners get money, first, we're appealing to a very wide market of all business owners. And secondly, we're solving a huge problem of helping them get money that's essential for them succeeding. So that's an example of how to solve a really, really, really big problem. Okay, so keep in mind that some industries are high risk when it comes to lending. So keep this in mind, because as you're setting up an idea, a concept, a company that you're going to move forward with, you want to know going in if you're going to have some restrictions and issues along the way. So you can still be profitable in these industries, but it's harder to get bank accounts and merchant accounts and loans and credit line and all those type of things. So I used to own a credit repair company, a credit improvement company, and I had my bank account shut down just because of my industry, because my name indicated the industry and they didn't like it. We had a merchant account that we paid a very high rate on. Every sale we made, they took 10% of the sale and put it into a reserve account. Even though we were low risk, even though we rarely ever had any chargebacks, they still took 10% of every sale and put it into a reserve account. So look, when you have 10% of your money come off the top and you're paying another 5 to 7% in rate, and they were taking 15, 17% off everything we did just because our industry was high risk. We weren't high risk. Very few chargebacks. We had years where we never even had a chargeback in an entire year, which is extremely rare with the volume we did. But it didn't matter because the industry was high risk. We had bank account issues. We had merchant account issues. We couldn't get loans. We couldn't get credit. So just keep this in mind. It's not to prevent you from getting into a higher risk industry. You should just know that it's harder to do things in higher risk industries, such as getting access to capital, credit, etc. So here's some high risk industries to give you an idea. Ammunition, bail bonds, check cashing, okay, energy, oil, okay, anything to do with financing. Okay, loan brokers, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, gambling, okay, loans for speculative purchases of securities or goods, pawn shops, political campaigns. These will often get you an immediate decline if you're in these industries. Now, if you are in one of these industries, don't give up. Okay, you can check with us. Go to our website, creditsuite.com. Give us a ring at 877-600-2487. We do so much volume that we often help people get approved when they're in high-risk industries. But just know if you go into the bank on your own and try to get approved, you're going to have a really tough battle if you're in these type of industries. Now, there are other industries, for example, that are not completely prohibited, but they're restricted. You're going to run into difficulties in underwriting in these. And that might be agricultural or forest products, auto vehicle sales, courier services, computer software related services, dry cleaners, contractors, gas stations, healthcare, hotels, jewelry, limousine services, over the road trucking, mobile home sales, phone sales, real estate agents, restaurants, software companies, taxi cabs, travel agencies. Look, I can't tell you why a lot of these are seen as high risk. I could tell you that in the lending area, some industries just have a record number of default compared to other industries, amongst many other factors. But what I can tell you is that a lot of these, being in these industries or having a name, which we'll talk about in a second, getting your name established, having a name that reflects you're in one of these industries could definitely be prohibitive of you being able to actually get a business loan. Okay, so setting up your business. You may want to check with friends and family to see if they buy what you're selling before you do anything else, okay? Even use your social media to survey and ask people questions about how useful the product service can be or how much they pay. This is a really good thing to do. It is a really smart thing to do. Okay, I have spent months setting up businesses that went nowhere because in the end, it was not anything anybody ever wanted to have. And I didn't know that. It seemed like a good idea. I never asked people if they thought it was a good idea. And as a result, it failed, never succeeded. Credit repair, for example, I really thought that I got into it as the economy was crashing. I thought a lot of people were going to be very welcoming to having their consumer credit fixed. I didn't account for how bad how bad people thought of the industry in a lot of cases. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything bad about credit repair at all. I built a successful company, sold it in that industry. I have a lot of friends in the industry, believe strongly in the industry. But at that time, there was a stigma that the bureaus had created against the industry that made it very difficult to do business. I didn't know that. If I would have asked my family and friends what they thought and put it out there and got feedback, I would have known that coming in. So with Credit Suite, I did exactly that. When we came in, decided to help people or decided to offer business credit and financing as a service, and we put together all the stuff we needed to be able to offer it as a service, we realized that other people may be interested in offering business credit financing as a service as well. So we started to ask people, what do you think about business credit? What do you think about this idea of offering it as a service? And since I had so many friends in the credit repair industry, those were the people that I went to. And the response was overwhelmingly positive. It was outstanding how many people said, man, I want in. When you do this, I will buy it. Let me know. And with that kind of positive feedback, we knew we had something big. And as a result of that, the second month we were in business, we were profitable because we went to all those people we'd surveyed and asked if they had an interest. And then we said, okay, we now have the product. Here it is. And a large percentage of them bought. So because so many people bought so quickly, then we were immediately profitable. It only happened because we did the survey. We planted the seed. We asked a lot of people if they would buy before we even actually put together the product. So don't go all in unless you know you have something that will sell. So many people make this mistake. And if you watch the show Shark Tank, as I do, I see a lot of these people. They come in with a concept that I kind of like, what? That doesn't make any sense. The sharks are like, no, listen, that's not going to sell for this reason, or this reason. And this person has went all in. In a lot of cases, the person has spent years. I've seen people 10, 12 years trying to prove their concept on there that still don't have very much in sales because the concept they have, it's not widely accepted. People really don't want what they think people will buy. And as a result, they've wasted thousands of hours going all in on something that unfortunately was a pretty bad concept and will never net them actual real success. Okay, so once you know what business you're going to be in, what you're going to sell, next thing you do, it's time to set up your actual company. So you got to think of a name for your business that's possibly short, easy to spell, that's catchy, and that the domain is available. Okay. My credit company was called Elite Credit, and elitecredit.com was not available. And I created the company anyways. The problem was that became a real issue because as with the bigger we got, the more people went to elitecredit.com, which wasn't our domain. So I learned a very hard lesson. You never create a name of a company that you're going to use unless that domain is available. Okay. And with our company Credit Suite, we had to buy the domain. We had to go to somebody that owned it and buy it from them before we ever created that as the actual name. So that is my advice. Something catchy, something short, something 1 or 2 syllables. The longer the name, the more complicated you make it, then the harder it's going to be for people to find you. I see people that come out with names related to business that spell business with Z's instead of S's. Well, that's confusing. You're going to have to explain that to people. Every time you mention your domain or your business name, you've got to explain that to people. You don't ever want that. You want something simple, easy, that they can find, and think about these things. Because Credit Suite, for example, when we tell people creditsuite.com, I always have to spell it out. Credit Suite, SUITE.com, because there's so many different ways, because there's different ways to spell suite. So as a result of that, I never thought about that deep enough. And now I have to, every time I say the domain, explain the spelling. So make sure that you come in and don't make that same mistake. Make sure that you can actually come in and that you own that the domain is available before you even think about it. Not the .net or .info. The .com domain is available. Use GoDaddy for a quick search. Okay, you can go to GoDaddy.com and search your domain right away and consider only a company with that name available as a domain. Okay, now I do this all the time. I'll think of all different kind of concepts and ideas, and even if we name an internal product of our company, then what we will do is make sure that product name is available and grab the domain. So we're very, very big on this. I really suggest before you ever think about starting a company that you make sure that that domain is available. Also try and make sure your name doesn't reflect you're in one of those high-risk industries. That's why I told you about that before I tell you about business name. Because the bottom line is you want to make sure that your name does not reflect you're in a high-risk industry. Look, when you get business credit, they don't usually look at your SIC code. They don't look at your industry. But if your name itself reflects you're in a high-risk industry, that can get you red flagged and declined. So at least if you're in a high-risk industry, try to make sure your name doesn't reflect you're in a high-risk industry. Then you won't have as many complications with bank accounts, merchant accounts, credit, etc. So once you know the domain is available, next you want to check if that company name is available in your state. You can do this by searching for Google for Secretary of State, my state. So I'm in Florida. To find my Secretary of State, I would search Secretary of State, Florida, for example. You can then easily search for that company name on the actual Secretary of State's website. So here's an example of that real process. I typed in Florida Secretary of State. The first options that come up here have to do with the search sunbiz.org. The very first thing that comes up, search for corporations, search sunbiz.org. When I go to sunbiz.org and click that link, this is what I'm looking at. I can then type in our company name, Credit Suite, and hit search now. And these are all the options that pull up in sunbiz.org. So here's how names work. I can only get the name if the name is available in my state. But I could go to any state in the United States and pick that name if it's available and get it. Now, I don't suggest that. You should always have your business in the state that you're in for tax reasons, for, credibility reasons. It doesn't make sense for you to own a business out of state, for example, if you're the primary CEO. But what I am saying is that it is possible for other companies to even choose and take your name if it's available in their state. There could be 50 Credit Suites because you can get the name if it's available in any state. That's why getting the domain is so important, because when I own creditsuite.com and I get Credit Suite in my state, hey, somebody could go to Alabama and create a Credit Suite, but I don't really care because all that matters to me is I own the domain creditsuite.com. So go to Secretary of State, I search Credit Suite, we're the first one that comes up, and all the other ones are other ones that it pulls up relative to that search. Okay, so if the name is available, follow the steps in your Secretary of State website to set up a new entity. You'll need to choose from a profit or nonprofit. You'll need to choose an entity type, corporation, LLC, partnership, sole prop. Any entity will work, but my recommendation is to choose an LLC or corporation. That will limit your liability, which is very big. You can get business credit, for example, with no personal guarantee or no personal liability. But if you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you are the business. You'll always be personally liable for what happens to your business. So if your business gets sued, for example, well, they can come after your personal assets. So with LLC or corporations, you help limit that liability, but you also have to remember it's possible to be a corporation, get credit for your business, sign as a personal guarantor and give a social, and then you're still personally liable. So liability has a lot of different layers. One, in the beginning place, is to try to choose an LLC or a corporation to limit that liability. Okay, prices vary for setting up a corporation based on state. Here in Florida, it's about $70. In California, it's like $600-700. So it really varies based on the state that you're in. To complete the process, it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes. I once did a test. How long does it take me to set up a business in my Secretary of State, drive to my bank, set up the bank account, get the EIN number, everything? And it took me, I think, 48 minutes was how long it took me to get it all done. So in less than an hour, I set up the business with the Secretary of State, got my EIN number from the IRS, used the Secretary of State and the IRS documents to then go through and actually get the business itself set up with a bank account, and then I was done, all in less than an hour. So it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to set up your business through the Secretary of State. Here's what the process looks like in Florida. Sunbiz.org, I go here, you can see the little section for, I go to start a business. Okay, once I click on start a business, then it asks me, it gives me a little bit of a notification, and then it says, hey, here, file or correct a Florida profit articles of corporation, because I chose for profit. I go here and it says, here you go. You're about to create a corporation, da-da-da-da. I click a little box that says I want to file my articles of incorporation and click start new filing. And then here we go. There's the required filing fee is $70. And I just basically go through and answer the questions. So every state looks completely different than what you're seeing here and what I'm talking about here, but the steps are pretty much the same. They're going to ask you for profit, nonprofit, the entity type, and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions, including your principal place of business, your mailing address, et cetera, and you're going to complete that information. Okay, so congratulations. Once you've done that, you now own a business. It's that simple. You set up the business online with your Secretary of State, you pay the fee, and you now own that business. So the next step is you got to get your EIN number, which how the IRS recognizes your company. Now, again, a lot of you might be watching this and going, hey, man, I already know all this stuff. Cool. Don't worry about it. Hang on. Hang with me. Okay. Because as we get in, we're going to talk about testing marketing, scaling marketing, stuff like that works. A lot of really good stuff. Okay. But once you set up your entity, the next step is you then want to get your business set up with the IRS and set up your EIN number. It's free to do. You want to go to irs.gov to get set up. Never buy an EIN It's always free, and never get an EIN from any other website other than irs.gov. There's a lot of companies that try to play themselves off as government websites when they're not. So when I Google get an EIN, this is what I actually will see is the very first result that comes up is apply for an employer identification number, EIN, online, irs.gov. I can see that the URL is irs.gov, so I go to the right place. And then once I click that, then I come in to a page of the IRS that says determine my eligibility, understanding the online application, and submitting the application. And then it gives me a button to click on apply. Once I click that I want to apply, then it says, do I need an EIN or do I need, and then I just simply click yes. I begin the application. There's a lot of different options I can choose with irs.gov. It tells me about what EIN is and U.S. territories and all kinds of things. But there's a big button in the middle of the screen for begin application. Once I click that, it asks me my entity type. What do I want? Am I a sole prop or am I a partnership? What is my entity type? Once I choose that, then I basically go through the rest of the steps, which is just then asking me for information about the business name and the address and a lot of the same stuff that's exactly asked on your Secretary of State records as well. So make sure you keep your articles and your EIN documents somewhere safe. These are going to be used all the time. Throughout the life of your business, hundreds and thousands of times, you're going to be asked for your EIN number, and you're going to need to provide your articles of incorporation for things like loans, bank account setup, etc. And once you have those articles of incorporation and EIN, you can then set up your business bank account. So that's the order, right? Set up your business with Secretary of State, EIN, bank account third. Okay, that's the order you want to follow. You also need to make sure that you will need your articles of incorporation and your EIN to set up the bank account. So once you finish the process, you can pretty much print right there your articles and your EIN, print those, and that's what's going to be needed to go in and set up your bank account. It's essential you set up your business bank account quickly because nowadays, a lot of lenders look at the day you start your bank account as the day your business opened because so many people buy these shelf corporations, these bogus shelf corps. So lenders have caught on to this, and now what they do is often look at the date you set up your bank account as the day your business opens. So you should definitely consider starting that bank account open pretty quick. Now, a lot of things related to opening a bank account, okay? You're going to be asked for several items when setting up your new account. Your entity papers, such as your articles of incorporation, they're going to ask you to complete an application. They're going to get that EIN verification from the IRS. They're going to ask for your ID, such as your driver's license, and they're going to ask for a deposit, $25 to $200, depending on the bank and the account type. You can Google this if you want. Like if you're limited on funds, Google Regions Bank setup fee or call them and say, how much is it to set up a business bank account? They'll tell you. It's usually about $25 to $50 with some banks. Other banks I've seen go as high as $200. You must set up that bank account right away. Okay, it's easy to get it done, and it helps, again, give you seasoning for credit loan applications. And again, the name on your bank account paperwork's got to match what you set up with the entity. Your address also needs to be the same. That's going to help you with loans down the way. And make sure your EIN number is also the same on your bank account as it is on the EIN paperwork. Okay, it takes about 30 minutes to set up your business bank account, depending on if you have to wait, how fast the banker is, et cetera, et cetera. Most banks will require that you go into the bank. I've never seen a bank that will let you do this over the phone. There's a lot of things I want to do with my bank over the phone, and they make me go in for a lot of stuff. So you're going to probably almost definitely have to go in to set up the bank account. They won't do it over the phone. But when you leave, they'll give you a folder with all the documents that outline the terms and everything that you'll need. You want to keep those documents safe with your EIN papers and your articles of corporation as well. You'll also leave with temporary checks for that account. Now, every bank has a service they'll recommend to get checks, but my advice is to be careful. Get the minimum that you need, because a lot of these banks will sell you a package for $150, $200. And I always do this. I go in and ask them, hey, how much is it for my initial checks? Well, it's $150. That's ridiculous. What am I getting with that? Well, you're getting a corporate seal and you're getting all this other stuff. Well, if you don't need that stuff, then tell them you don't need that stuff. And also they'll try to give you 1,000 checks. Tell them you only need 50 checks or 250 checks. This will help save you some money where you can get in much more affordably than buying those starter kits. Okay. You can also buy those if you want stamps and seals and endorsements, you can buy that stuff on Amazon even pretty cheap. There's a lot of companies out there that sell it. And again, you don't need all this. So especially in the beginning when you're trying to limit your funds, don't go in and buy those expensive starter kits and bunches of checks. Try to reduce the amount of checks they give you, and don't even select the starter kit. That will then help you save some money. So set up your website next. You can do this cheaply using a company like templatemonster.com, then use upwork.com to hire a contractor to put up your website. Template Monster is a place where you can actually buy real websites. And, you get really good website templates. They look really good. You spend $50 to $100. You can go to upwork.com or onlinejobs.ph, and there you can hire all different kind of international contractors for very little money. And you could get somebody to put up a website for you for about $50 or $100. So you could get an entire website done for $100 to $200 total. You'll need the website template you get from Monster Template or templatemonster.com. You'll need the content for each page. So for example, the page might have a home page, an about us, a contact us, a services page. They're going to need the actual writing, the content you're going to want to put on each page. And then they're going to need you to set up hosting. I get my domains and my emails and my hosting all through GoDaddy. There's a lot of services that offer the same thing out there. That's just who I've used for years. So you get your set up with GoDaddy, and that's it. If I'm setting up a website, I go, okay, man, here's the file I got from templatemonster.com. Here's the wording I want on every page, and I set up all my hosting with GoDaddy. Here's my login credentials, so you can get in and get that set up. Or they can give you instructions if you don't want to give them the login. And you can also get a professional email address, which is good for lending purposes when you set up the domain as well. Our email is info@creditsuite.com, right? All of our emails are at creditsuite.com. That's free. With GoDaddy, if you get the domain creditsuite.com at GoDaddy, then all your emails can be obtained from there as well. Okay, you'll need to get a phone number for a place like RingCentral. Okay, you want to get a toll-free number and get a fax number, and you also want to list your phone number with 411. You can use a service called List Yourself to help you with that. Before you ever begin to apply for credit or financing, you need to have your phone number listed with 411. So my advice is just go ahead and get that done in the beginning. Test a service like List Yourself. There's services like Yext, Y-E-X-T, which are more expensive up front, but they can also get your phone number listed. So this helps you a lot. You set up your business. You can get a phone number from RingCentral with the fax for about $10 or $15 a month. It's very, very affordable, very, very cheap to do that. You can get a postal address from a place like Regis.com, iPostal.com. iPostal, if you just go to iPostal1.com or just search iPostal, you can get UPS addresses there. That will be preventative of you getting business credit. My suggestion is that you pay a little bit more money, a lot more money, and go to Regis.com. That's a real physical business address you could use on business credit loan applications. You could use iPostal.com to get a virtual address, and these are addresses, either place that you use, that you can get mail at, but you don't have to pay for a real physical office. That's what virtual addresses are. iPostal's much cheaper, but they're UPS addresses. If you use those on credit applications, you'll typically get denied, whereas with Regis, you won't. So there's some different options for you there as well. Get any licensing you're going to need from your county and for your industry. Okay, sometimes you're going to have a license in your county, for example. Get all that stuff set up so you have your licensing. Okay, and then also make sure that your business name address is the same on all your documents. I'm telling you some of this stuff because this stuff helps you with lending as well. If you're going to set up a business, you might as well get it done right from the beginning, because then not only will you have your business set up, but then you'll also make yourself lendable in the process if you do this the right way. So your business name, address, all of your information will be the same on your Secretary of State records and all of your other documents. So make sure it's all congruent. That'll help you a lot when you start getting credit or loan. You can get your logo set up next. Go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, or 99designs.com. Fiverr.com, you can get people to design a logo for you for like $5 to $100. 99designs.com is my favorite. It's $300 to set up the logo. But what you've got is a bunch of designers that actually submit designs, and you pick from the best design. It's not uncommon to see 500 designs to 1,000 submitted during a contest that lasts a week long. So my suggestion is, if you have the money, If you want good professional branding, go to 99designs.com. If you're on a really tight budget, you just need something to help you get everything off the ground, go to Fiverr.com. You can still pick some pretty good designers and get good results there as well. Write out a short description of your company and what you do with a call to action, such as visiting your website. A call to action is what action you want people to take. So you might want to write out a short description of your company. At Credit Suite, we help companies obtain business credit and financing so they can start and grow. To learn more and grab a free guide on business credit building, visit www.creditsuite.com/EIN. Although nowadays you don't need the www. The point is the same. I tell them what I do, and then I also am getting a domain. You're going to need this on a lot of your social media channels, which is why you might as well as write this out now. Because as you start putting together your website, social media channels, that kind of stuff, you're going to need that. Set up your business online congruently with free listings, okay? So there's a lot of places you could list your business for free without paying a bunch of extra money to do so. Google.com/business, Bingplaces.com, smallbusiness.yahoo.com. Those are places that it's free. It's free to set up your business. Where people Google your information, they pull up these kind of results. So look, especially in the beginning part of owning a business, credibility is very important. When somebody goes to search you out online, you need to make sure they have something to see. So use Bing, use Yahoo, use Google's places for business areas, because you could list all your business information for free, make it easy for people to find you online, okay? And then you're controlling what people are seeing about you online, as well as getting some free publicity, right? You're putting your information out there, so you're getting some free traffic, some free leads possibly with it as well. There are hundreds of other free places you may consider. You can go to Credit Suite or youtube.com/Credit Suite to go to our YouTube channel and search for Get Your Business Listed Correctly to Meet Credit Issuer and Lender Credibility Approval Standards. And you'll find a video with more. Or you could just even, Google some kind of, or you could go to our YouTube channel and just type in listed or part of that name, Get Your Business Listed Correctly to Meet Credit Issuer and Lender Credibility Standards. Any part of that name will probably produce an hour-long video that we've done that maps out everywhere, not everywhere, but hundreds and hundreds of places you can get your business listed online for free. Guys, it's a good idea, because when you start a business, you need to do anything you can to get free traffic to your website, free leads. And all these places like Yellow Pages and Bing Places for Business and Google Places for Business, all these places are free to set up your business. You may get some traffic and some leads from there, and you also give yourself a long list when people Google your name of results they can find. So it's only going to help you if you go there. So you want to set up your business social media channels next. Set up a Facebook business page. Set up a Twitter account. Set up a LinkedIn company page, and make sure that you've optimized your LinkedIn credit pro or your LinkedIn profile. You want to get set up on YouTube. You want to set up an Instagram channel. Okay, these are all free. About 25% of our business comes from free social media channels. So take advantage of these. Okay, you want to set up your listing in all of these places, set up your business pages as quickly as possible. And then some of those will be more popular than not. And all of them should be able to get you leads at no cost. So you want to get those set up. Consider buying some subscribers from Fiverr.com, Fiverr, Fiverr.com. So this is one of the cheats I personally do. When I set up a new business and I set up a Facebook business page, I always go to Fiverr and buy a bunch of subscribers. And here's why. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do this. It's up to you. I'll just tell you why I do it. Because when I go to somebody's website and I say, okay, the website looks pretty good, they look pretty credible, the next thing I do is look for those social media icons. And I click on their Facebook page. The next thing I do is I look to see if they've been posting on Facebook and social media regularly. It's pretty recent. And then I look to see how many fans and subscribers they have. That's all credibility checks for me. If I find a website that kind of looks kind of shady, and then I go to their Facebook page and they have 5 people following them and they haven't posted for 4 months, I'm not going to do business with that company. I don't think they're credible. So nowadays we're in an environment where people like think the same way that I'm thinking. They come in, they look at your website to see how legitimate it looks. Then they go to social media channels to see if you're posting recently and how many people are following you on social media. So because I personally go through those checks when I'm trying to vet a business, I make sure that I always pad some subscribers on my channels when I set them up. I go to Fiverr and buy Twitter or followers. I go to Fiverr and buy subscribers on YouTube. I go and buy Facebook fans. Now, again, there's a problem with this as well. You know, sometimes Twitter will catch on and they will get rid of a lot of the fake followers, for example, because they're real followers. It's just they're people from other countries and stuff that will probably never ever do business with you. Okay. Facebook only lets my posts be shown to so many people. That's a problem because I bought a couple thousand when we first started the page. Some of those people are the ones that Facebook chooses to show our content to, and they're not even real people that will ever do business with us. So there are drawbacks of this strategy. You may choose not to do this. But again, I feel it's best to start your social media channels and to have some kind of subscriber or follower base number there, because that makes people more inclined to subscribe and follow you. It gives you more credibility. And guys, this stuff's important. When you first set up a business, being looked and viewed at as credibly is very important to getting your first customers. And again, you know, it's social acceptance. This is just the way that we are as a society. If I go to a Facebook page and see thousands of other people have liked it, then I'm more inclined to like it than like it if there's only 2 other people that like that page. So it kind of gives me an advantage in some of those areas. Okay. And you can obtain a merchant account to accept credit cards as well. We've got a great one, creditsuite.com/merchant that you can access. Again, we don't actually do merchant accounts, but we work with a lot of companies that do, and you can find a pretty good one there. Merchant accounts will let you accept credit cards from customers. And we can, you know, you can go to creditsuite.com/merchant. We can recommend a company, but there's also companies like Stripe, Stripe, and Stripe.com are super simple ways to get set up to accept credit cards. Even PayPal has some great methods to make it easy. The easier you make it for people to pay you, the easier it's going to be for you to make money. So accepting credit cards nowadays really is very important. Formulate your plan. So now we've really got the business set up. You got your business set up. You got your name. You got your entity and your bank account set up. Your social media channels are set up. You use that short description that you wrote out to put as a description on all your social media channels. You got a website up. Now you have the bare bones of a business. So the next thing you want to do is write out a business plan. Completely clearly map out where you want to be. Guys, you can spend months on this stuff. So it doesn't have to be elaborate. You're not using it for venture capital, so it doesn't need to be some elaborate business plan you map out. But I've learned in life and in business, you have to know where you're going. If you know where you're going, it's much easier, faster path to get there. If you don't know where you're going, then it's very, very tough to be successful, because the reality is you don't even know what you're striving for, what you're trying to accomplish. So again, I've really learned that makes a lot of sense to make sure that you set up your business credibly right from the beginning, to make sure that you have a business plan, to make sure that you clearly understand where you're going, because in doing so, that will really be essential to getting to where you're trying to be. Set up a mission statement. Then you can develop a plan of attack. What do you stand for? What are your principles? What will be your guiding principles as you build this business? Set up a massive action plan, or what I call a map, to get to your end goal. So here's how a massive action plan works. Let's say you're offering business credit with us. Okay, let's say that you want to make $10,000 in a month's worth of revenue. Well, in our world, that's 4 sales. So if you sold 4 business credit financing units, you'd make 10 grand, right? So now you know to get to your goal of 10 grand, you need to have 4 sales. Well, in order to get to 4 sales, you're going to need to do you have a closing ratio of about 30%. So that means you need to do about 12 presentations. So now you know to get to your goal, you need 12 presentations done. Okay. After that 12 presentations, then now you know that you probably got to talk to, double that amount of people to get them into presentations. So I now know that I need to talk to 24 people to get 12 of them into presentations, to get 3 of them to buy, to be able to make or to get 4 of them to buy to actually make my $10,000 in a month. So now I know that's my massive action plan, the beginning of it. Now I know what I need to do. I need to get to 24 different people, 24 leads I need to get in front of to do the X amount of presentations, to close X amount to reach my goal. So now your whole life becomes, how do you get in front of those 24 people? Well, maybe with a massive action plan, you're coming in and you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to market to these different people. I'm going to go to networking events to talk to 10 people. And then I'm going to send out these flyers to talk to another 10 people. And then you can start developing your actual specific action steps to be able to get to that number. So that's how a massive action plan really works. Start with your end goal in mind. I want to make 10 grand a month. That's 4 sales. That means I got to I got to do 12 presentations in order to close 4. Okay. That means I got to talk to 24 people to do 12 presentations. I'm going to talk to 24 people because I'm going to walk into 10 businesses. I'm also going to go to networking events and talk to another 10 businesses. I'm going to send out flyers to talk to another 4. That's a massive action plan. Now you have several different ways you're going to get to that number, to get to that goal. Okay. With these things, you'll know where you're going and how to get there. You're basically going to have the strategy part of your actual plan. Okay. Make sure that getting access to money is one of the first things you prioritize about. Okay. And strategize about it. It really needs to be at the top of your list. Majority of businesses fail because they don't have the money they need to succeed. SBA shows this, and almost every other study shows exactly the same thing. So start building your business credit right away. It can supply you the capital that you need to get started. Okay. And you can get it regardless of other factors such as personal credit. So look, one of the lessons I've learned along the way is this. I bootstrapped every single business I've owned. And bootstrap means I took my own money, my own credit, and I used it to fund the business. Then I learned a better way with business credit financing to be able to do it. And now I know what I know. I never start another business on my own with my own capital. I always start building business credit right away and use the business's credit to be able to actually pay for the business. Because you can get credit at Dell and Sam's Club and Costco and Amazon and Apple all very early, 60 days, 90 days into starting to build business credit. So we talk to a lot of customers that do exactly this. They're getting their business off the ground. They start building their business credit. They get access to the capital they need to buy office supplies and computers and everything else they need to run the business. And they use their business credit so they don't have to use their personal credit finances to do so. You can get it even as a startup. You can get it regardless of personal credit. You don't need collateral. You don't need cash flow. So don't try to bootstrap the business if you don't have to. You can access business credit right away. And of course, you could get with us, creditsuite.com or 877-600-2487, and we'll help you with that. You can go to creditsuite.com/consult to schedule a free consultation with us. You can also go to creditsuite.com and at the top right, just go to our social media channels. We've got YouTube and Periscope and Instagram and Facebook Live and all this live training. We have literally thousands of different resources out there that will help you with this. So even if you don't want to pay us to help you with the process, then go to creditsuite.com/EIN, for example. Grab a free guide that maps out the step. Don't let money be a barrier. If you don't have the money to come in and pay us, then don't do it. Go get our free training then and at least take the steps to start accessing capital because you're going to need money to grow this business. Okay, getting vendor credit immediately is what you do with business credit. You'll get Uline and Quill accounts. You'll get office supplies and computers. You'll get access to buy computers, all this stuff right away when you start building business credit. And again, within 90 days, 60 to 90 days, you're getting store credit at most major retail stores. Okay. And with that, that'll get you, Sam's Club, Costco, Apple, BP, Chevron, all those kinds of stores you can get credit at in about 60 to 90 days. And in about 120 days, about 4 months, you can start getting Visa cards, MasterCards you could use anywhere, regardless of personal credit, cash flow, collateral. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. So you can imagine how powerful this could be to help you build the business. And then you use that credit to grow instead of relying on your personal funds or profits. And if you have collateral, cash flow, or you have good credit now, well, then you can get all kinds of loans. So if you have good personal credit, you have a guarantor that does, you have some kind of collateral like a 401k or stocks, or, you're watching this and you've been in business for a year. Well, all those things open up loan options for you as well. So if you want to learn more about that, go to creditsuite.com/consult. we'll meet with you, get you a free copy of your business credit report, and we'll go through and tell you all the loan options you have available. But don't neglect the fact that you're going to need capital to grow this business. So many businesses fail because they don't have access to capital, a mistake or something goes wrong in the business, and they don't have the money to actually support them and help them be successful. You'll need money to grow, and even if your only source is personal money and credit or cash flow, then you're looking to grow at a snail's pace. And that's what happens. When you start a business, you've got limited profits. Your profits have to supply the growth of the business, and they also have to support you personally, your income. So that means if you're only relying on that and no outside capital, your business is going to grow at a very, very, very slow pace. If you inject cash, you have access to money, and you're using the money to help you grow the business and using the profits, and you don't need the profits as much to drive your pay and the growth of the business, you're just going to grow at a much faster pace. Guys, this is why every big company gets foreign capital. They get venture capital. So you look at Facebook, for example, Facebook, I remember when they went public that the guy that painted their walls became an instant millionaire because they didn't have the money to pay the dude that painted the walls. So they gave him stock in the company, and then they got all these outside investors to pump money into it. Twitter did the same thing. All these really big companies start with a concept, they prove concept, they get all this outside money to help them grow, because the more money you have, the faster you're going to grow. So just remember, get business credit, get financing if you can qualify. It helps you do this at a really good pace. And even as a startup, you can get a loan. For example, if you have good credit or good credit guarantor, we got a program where you can get up to 150 grand at 0% rates that I help a lot of my friends actually access when they're starting businesses. If you have a 401k stocks, you can get loans for 5% or less. If you don't, maybe you have somebody that wants to invest in your company that has this. And then you can also get equipment financing to buy equipment or inventory financing to buy inventory. So there's a lot of loan options available for you. If you ever want to, again, talk more, creditsuite.com/consult. We never charge you a dime on business loans at all. We have a business credit program that does have an investment, but if you wanted to get a loan, we never charge you up front or after the loan closes. We help you through the entire process at no cost. So for nothing else, you could just get with us and we'll map out what's possible and give you some of those options. But my strong advice is never even to think about moving forward with the business without having access to some kind of capital. So marketing the business, your initial priority now needs to be start making sales. Okay, this should happen within your network first. It's the easiest low-hanging fruit. So start promoting your social media channels and websites to your friends and family. Start letting people know what you do. Text them, email them, put a message out on your social media page. You've already asked people in the beginning if they liked the idea you had. Now go back to those people and say, it's now out. Are you interested, or somebody else that you have is interested? The first sales you're typically going to make are going to be people in your inside circle. And that was me. When I started selling business credit, I had been going to networking events for a long time, and I talked to all the people in my networking events if they'd be interested. I got a big list of people that would be interested, and the minute I had access to a product to sell, I went to that list, and that's where my biggest sales came in. And that was cool because before I invested any time or energy into building the business, I already had pre-sales basically done. It's a really good concept. So go to your internal network. It's where a lot of your initial sales, reviews, those type of things can come from. Ask them for their business and who else they may know that may be interested in buying from you. You may even want to set up an affiliate program to pay them for referrals. It's a great idea. So, hey man, you refer somebody over to me, I'll pay you $50 on every single person that you refer over, for example. Okay, that could be really powerful. So marketing your business. Consider local marketing as well. Going to homes or businesses door to door if you have to. When I started my mortgage company, on the way into the office every day, I would not go into the office until I had at least one lead to work. I would stop at every real estate office on the way from my home to my business. Sometimes it would take me 30 minutes to get my first lead. Sometimes it would take me 6 hours. Okay, but I would not go in the office without my lead. I went door to door to every real estate agent I could find, built relationships, and I'm good friends with a lot of those people now that I met back in that time, and that was 10, 15 years ago. So that may be how you need to start. And it's interesting because when you watch the show Shark Tank, you always see Mark Cuban loves this. When somebody comes in and goes, yeah, man, I went door to door and I went to trade shows and I went out there and got my hands dirty and started making sales. Mark's like, yeah, man, good job. because he loves that idea. And so many other people love that idea that you're willing to get your hands dirty, get out there and start doing what needs to be done to make sales. Even here at Credit Suite, for the first year and a half, 2 years of our business, I was the primary salesperson. It really took a lot for my team that I had started to build to pull me away from that role and me not make sales anymore. It was very hard for me to give up that part. I like to be the front end person that made all the sales. I had no problem making all the sales. So you've got to be willing to get your hands dirty, go door to door, do whatever you need to do to get those first leads. Networking events are pretty powerful. Chamber of Commerce, B&I. This is a place where a bunch of like-minded business owners get together. They talk about what they sell, their products and services. You can meet a lot of good affiliates and customers at places like this. There are also many smaller ones in your area that you can go to that possibly have little to no cost whatsoever. Maybe even start your own if you have a lot of connections. That's another good idea as well. Connections are key when you start out, okay? So try to think about people you know that are connectors. And connectors are people that you know who I'm talking about when I describe them. They're people that just know everybody. Like you go to them and you're like, hey man, I need a guy that makes nachos. They're like, oh man, I got a nachos guy. And you're like, man, my transmission's out there. Like, I got a transmission guy. Like, I want to buy an RV. They're like, I got an RV guy. Connectors are people that are just really good at connecting. They know everybody. And I got a buddy of mine, his name is Robert, and he's a connector. He's like this. So we get together for lunch and he's like, hey, look, man, I can introduce you to all types of people. And we'll spend a day together. And all we do is go around to all these appointments he's set up with all these connections and get introductions. So, there are those type of people. Literally, Robert could fuel our entire business. I could just travel around with him or use his recommendations and get in front of thousands of businesses. He was born and raised in this community. He's actively participates in all kinds of soccer league and the school and everything. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody loves him. He has massive parties at his house. He's a connector. So whenever I need something, I can go to Robert and go, hey, man, I need this. And he's like, yeah, dude, I got a guy that'll do that. I got 5 guys that'll do that. Those are connectors. One connector can make you rich. So find connectors and people that know a lot of people and then set up an affiliate commission for them and try to start to get some introductions. Ask your friends and family for business, and if they know people that are connectors as well, even a few of these connectors can help you make a lot of early sales. Okay, the best way to market and sell is using what I call free information theory. This is very important to know. It's how I built the last 2 businesses, Credit Suite, which is very successful, and my credit company, which I built and sold, which was also successful. And I did it based on this theory of free information. So basically, you're teaching and educating people how they can get results with your product and service that your product and service delivers. So, for example, I'm very well known for business credit because I teach people how to build business credit. It seems crazy. Our company offers business credit services that you pay for to build business credit. But yet I go out there and teach everybody the exact steps to build business credit. People look at me, and I've had people come up to me at the last event I was at actually speaking. He goes, man, I had somebody come up, and I get this a lot. I don't understand you. I don't get it. Why do you just give out this information? It makes no sense to me. Well, the reason is because, look, I want to teach everybody how to do what we do. A percentage of people will take that teaching, apply it, and have really good results. And there'll be very good reviews for us, and they testimonials and all kinds of things, okay? And then other people will not use the information at all. And then other people will love what I say, don't want to do it all on their own. And then because they trust me, they trust our company, and rapport is built because we're so open with sharing, then they come in for our paid services. We are successful because we give away so much free information. We teach people how to do to get the end result they want to get. And a lot of them will do it on their own. And a lot of others will choose to work with us to do it. And we win either way, because even the people that do it on their own tell other people about us. They go out and put great positive reviews and testimonials and spread the word. We all benefit. So I learned this a long time ago. When you stop worrying about making the money and start worrying about helping other people, the money will follow. And this is part of how you do that, is get as much information out in that marketplace, teach and educate as many people as possible. If you're selling tax services, for example, start educating on how people can file their taxes, what they should know. If you're a real estate agent, teach people how to list a home, what they need to ask, how to get a home inspector, how much they should pay in commission. teach people everything about what you do, and then in doing so, you're going to build a following, build a tribe, and you're going to build a lot of trust and liability. Teach people all that you know, using Facebook, using YouTube, using Twitter. This, for example, will become our podcast. This will be on YouTube. This will be in a lot of different places, and we will use it to help teach people the steps of building a business. And hopefully some of them along the way will go, hey man, I want a loan or I want credit, and they'll come to us to do business with us. But even if not, it helps us get a positive name because we're so willing to share and openly share this information. Make great use of live channels, YouTube Live, Periscope Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live. Nowadays, there's so many live channels. You could do live broadcast. It gets you a following base. It gets you a tribe built. It costs you no money. A lot of those people will eventually buy. So make good use of social media channels and all the live channels that are out there to use. Okay, when you teach and educate, you build a loyal tribe. Many of those will take your information, become your best in testimonials. Many others will end up, again, as I mentioned, paying for your services. When you sell this way, then what happens is your people are coming to you and wanting to do business with you. You're not having to sell them anything. And this changed for me in the credit business. What happened was I owned a credit repair company, and I got so sick of trying to convince people on the phone that credit repair was effective. So I'm like, I'll show you. I sent them emails on why credit repair worked. I explained the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and I showed them the actual credit results and testimonials. And I just wanted to explain to people how they could have the same kind of results. And within a matter of months, our phones started to ring and people started to call us and go, I get your emails. It all makes sense. I have 2 questions. Ask question number 1, ask question number 2, and they were ready to enroll. We didn't have to sell them anymore because they knew who we were. They trusted us. They liked us. They knew we were credible experts because we put so much great information out and delivered it to them. We taught them things they didn't know. And so then they came to us and wanted to do business with us. We didn't have to sell them. We became the credible experts in our space. Trust is built, rapport is built, and then that's what makes people want to do business with you. And if you think about it, you'll understand that. Think about the gurus you follow that just put so much free content out there that you eat up, and how much you admire them just because of how much content they put out there. Be that guru in your space, and in doing so, you'll build a loyal following. The key to success is content in any business. Okay, having this means you'll have long-term success or face possible failure without it. What is content? Well, content's everything. It's emails, it's articles, it's press releases, it's videos, it's webinars. It's all the information you need to do all these things. The PowerPoint presentation I'm using right now is content. And what I use that content for will determine my ultimate success or failure in my business. So for example, I host a webinar every other week. I suggest you do the same thing. This is one of those webinars. Put that webinar, when I'm done with the webinar, I'll put it on YouTube, I'll put it on Vimeo, and then it gets me thousands of views and engagement from people that see it after the fact. Okay, I'll make it into an automated webinar, and people will come back and see this as an automated webinar for years to come. Okay, I'll actually take the PowerPoint, put it into an article format, and I'll break that down into actual smaller emails. I'll break it even further down into social media posts that will be on our page, okay? So for example, this whole slide here can be one post on social media. The key to success for any business is content. Having this means you'll have long-term success, okay? For example, you can use one piece of content to do all these things. So that could be one social media post. So I'm using one thing, and a webinar I do every other week for videos, for automated webinars, for social media posts, for emails. I could turn that long format into a blog post or article. I can make it into a free reporting guide, all because I'm doing a webinar every other week. You can create articles and use Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, to distribute those articles across hundreds, if not thousands, of article distribution or article companies like eZine Articles, for example. You can make smaller videos out of this. So, for example, this one thing, it's being recorded, so it can become a video, and then because it becomes a video, I can then make it into smaller videos. The first video could be on marketing a business. The second video could be on how to set up your business initially. The third one could be on how to set up your business bank account. So I could make this one video into many smaller videos as well and get views on all that stuff on YouTube, etc. So this is something I called the MUM model, the multiple use model, where you're using one piece of content for a lot of different reasons. You could even make a podcast out of the recording, which you will, and promote all this in your email drip sequence, which we'll talk about later. So now we have an email campaign. When you go to creditsuite.com/EIN and you opt in, we'll get you a free guide, and then we'll start delivering you consistent content through email. We'll start giving you all kinds of information about running a successful business and getting money and getting credit and financing and all these other things that are involved, okay? So again, one piece of content, a webinar that I do every other week. I have the PowerPoint presentation broke down from a virtual assistant I got from Upwork into a big article format. I use it for articles, for blog posts. We use it for emails and social media posts. We also make videos out of it and use it for videos. All this content comes from one PowerPoint presentation. So the more you have content you have, the more platforms you could put the content out on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and the bigger tribe you'll get and the more customers you'll get as a result. So again, use free distribution channels. Then once you have that content, social media channels, online educational courses like Udemy, for example. This will get you instant sales just by putting webinars together, content, getting it out there in the world and the marketplace. And this will build your following. Within 6 to 12 months, you'll see explosive growth. And this is what happened with us, is that we just did webinars. Sometimes nobody showed up at our webinars. Sometimes now very few people show up at our webinars. But it doesn't matter to us because we're going to put it on our YouTube channel and it'll get thousands of views. And this happened, and about a year into the process, all we kept doing is putting our webinars on YouTube, and all of a sudden we looked and we realized we had 1,000 subscribers. And then we started to realize people were seeing us on YouTube and were paying and enrolling for our services. And then we started to actually do some things with our YouTube channel and really make it even bigger. The same thing will happen for you. Right now, you got to do a webinar every other week. Get your content from the webinar, use it for articles and all these other things that we talk about. And I think on our YouTube channel, you could probably maybe type in multiple uses model or MUM. If you go to youtube.com/credit, so we can get a whole hour-long webinar I've done on this topic. If you're a partner or a client of ours now in the back office, we definitely have training on this. I know that for sure. And then what happens is you get the webinar, you do it every other week, you create the automated webinar and put all these videos out there, all this content, which it sounds time-consuming. It's not. Nowadays, we use virtual assistants from Fiverr or Upwork.com, and you can get a virtual assistant for $3, $4 an hour from another country, such as the Philippines, for example. And they do all this for me now. They do all the automated. They make the slides that you see here. All I do is write out the content, which admittingly, to do a webinar takes me about 2 hours to prepare all the content, 1 hour to 2 hours to get it all done. But once I'm done, then they make the articles, they make the emails, they make the press releases and the blog posts and the automated webinars and all those things. So it took me some time in the beginning to do it, and then I started videoing the instructions for somebody else to do it. Then they started taking it over, so we started making a little money. And then, now I just do a webinar and all the other content is done, and I get so many other different pieces of content we can distribute. So now this webinar I have in different forms I can put on Instagram and Facebook, and I can, put YouTube videos up and Vimeo, and now I can put one piece of content in so many different places, and then that's what will get me a lot of big tribe, a lot of followers, and a lot of those people will inevitably become customers as well. So to make this work, you must have a good sales funnel, okay? And a sales funnel is basically it's a series of emails that come in a predefined order. Okay, so this is delivering quality information through a drip sequence every few days. So if you opt in with us at creditsuite.com/EIN, we give you a free guide. We send you emails every day for the first 5 days or 6 days with a bunch of content. Then about every 3-4 days, we then send you another email. Okay, and then the more teaching you information, you opted in because you obviously want business credit. So we teach you everything to do with business credit and everything to do with business loans and how to get business credit, how to get business loans. And then in doing so, that really gets you trust, rapport, credibility built because you get so much free content from us. We know what we're talking about. So your email sequence should have written emails that just have content, that's just text. Then they have links to videos, links to webinars, and more. Okay, so if you get into our email sequence, you'll get emails that will explain in written format things. Then you can click to go to our blog post. You can click to watch a video on our YouTube channel. You can click to access an automated webinar, et cetera, et cetera. And once created, your marketing goal is then to get people into the sequence. And that's the easiest part. My whole job in life in my business is just to get people to opt in on one of our websites, because when they come into one of our websites now, they get so much emails and they get so much quality information to our funnel that then a lot of them will click or will call us and want to buy when they're ready to buy because they've been getting so much good quality information from us as a result. Here's an example of a drip email sequence if you're actually watching versus listening to this on our podcast. So you can see the first email we get, we talk about business credit benefits. 5 days later, they get another one using business credit to secure cash funding. It's a link to a webinar. 5 days later, they get an email about a type of financing called business revenue financing. 5 days later, information about Experian and not, and not having time to build business credit and having a bank rating and connecting with us on social media, et cetera. So every 5 days, basically, somebody is getting an actual email, and this is what an email drip sequence will look like. There's all kinds of CRMs you can use for this. Infusionsoft and ClickFunnels are the best, but they're $300 a month. You can use places like iContact or Aweber, which are less than $50 a month, and sometimes as low as $10 a month with those kind of services. Okay, your leads will then cultivate through time, and many of them will buy. So what happens is, people come into creditsuite.com/EIN, they grab our free guide, they get our free information, and through time, many of them will start to buy. So the more people I get into that funnel, the more inevitably will buy. And this is especially true if you also include emails with calls to action, such as giving access to free consultations or sales. So guys, to give you an example, I'm doing this right now in January 2017. And a year ago, in January 2016, to where we are now, a year later, our revenue in our front-end sales is 5 times the amount it was in January of 2016, okay? So think about that. If you do $100,000 in sales, it's $500,000 in sales. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm just giving you an example. It's 5 times the amount of what it was 1 year ago. How does that happen? It happens exactly as I'm telling you. The key is that you got to get a lot of free content out in the information and do it consistently on a regular basis. So every 2 weeks I do a webinar. The webinar goes to YouTube immediately. We start getting thousands of views on our YouTube channel, okay? Then we take the content, we put it into Vimeo, we take it, we start posting on our social media, we created a podcast with it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, again, not a lot of people may view the video in the beginning. Not a lot of people might download our podcast. But the more content we put out there, the more YouTube, the more iTunes recognize we're a force to be reckoned with, the more exposure they start giving us. So YouTube especially is really big on this right now. What I've noticed with YouTube is that they really cater to brand new content. So we've got very popular content that have tens of thousands of different views and likes and subscribes, or likes, for example. But YouTube will take a brand new video that somebody does and put it above our seasoned video because they really like brand new content. So once they see that you are putting out a lot of content on a regular basis, they will start to organically show your information to more people. That will get you more likes, watches, etc., and then you continue to move up. I see so many people screw this up. Everybody wants to run a business and wants the easy win. They want, what can I do to make money right now? That's simple. Go to networking events. You'll make money right now. But on top of going to networking events, you should be doing webinars every other week, putting out tons of free content in the space, getting stuff out on Instagram every day, getting stuff on Twitter every day, and Facebook every day, multiple times. We post 5 to 10 times a day on all of our social media channels. I know people like Grant Cardone that post 100 times per day on his social media channels. So put as much free content out there as possible. The more content out, the more placement you get with the social media channels, the bigger of a tribe you gain, the bigger audience, the more people opt in, the more people in our email sequence. And then all of a sudden in 6 or 12 months, it's like you reach a tipping point and it just becomes explosive growth. So it's all about doing the things that won't net you any results short term, but the more you do it, the more 6 months, 12 months, you reach that tipping point and see explosive growth. Okay. And again, when you put in emails with calls to action, such as getting free consultations, then that really helps you. And that's our model. So we give out a bunch of free content through our email sequence. And then you get an email that says, hey, look, if you're interested in business credit financing, which obviously you are because you're watching these emails, then why don't you click here, schedule a consultation with us. We'll talk more. And we'll talk more about your goals. We'll either give you free advice on that consultation, or we'll talk about our product and services if you want to do that. And it gives our sales team a chance to actually make a sale if the person's interested in buying. If the person's not interested in buying, then we'll continue to follow up with them in case they are, and we'll give them free information. Either way, they win. And this is a great way to do it. So we give a bunch of free content, then we solicit for consultations and go from there. Content is 80 to 90% of the time in an email sequence, and then a call to action, a sale email, asking them to buy, asking them for a consultation. You only do that maybe 5% of 10. For every 10 emails you have, maybe you do that twice max. The rest should just be content information. You can start by writing 8 to 16 emails and deliver them once per week. This is how I started. If you look at our email sequence now, our email sequence goes about 4 years. But how we started was, I wrote out 8 emails and sent 1 a week. So I wrote 8. That gave me 2 months worth of content for 1 email to go once a week. And then every month I sat there and write another 8. Now my life has changed because now I figured out how to just do a webinar like this and make this webinar into email content. And now it's saved me a bunch of time. A shortcut that I'm teaching you took me years to figure out. So again, you might be saying, well, Ty, what am I supposed to write about? Write about everything you know. Okay, so in my world, we help people get business loans and business credit. So we talk about what business credit is. We talk about the benefits of building business credit. We map out every single step to getting business credit. We talk about all the different kind of business loans that are out there, the step to get approved, what's needed, the rates, the terms. If I'm a real estate agent, I'm going to teach people how to list a home, how to figure out how much your home is worth, how to get a home inspection, how to stage your home. Teach people everything you know through email. That's my best advice. When I owned my credit company, I taught people how the Fair Credit Reporting Act, how the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act worked, how they could fix their credit, how they could dispute a judgment. All these type of things we taught them through emails. My best advice, again, is to teach them everything you know. You can even use those emails as scripts for marketing videos if you start the way of just writing emails versus doing webinars. So after you've mapped out your plan and you've got your funnel created, it's time to then start running some tests. Is your product and service well received by consumers? Do they like it, for example? Does it work? Does it help solve a problem? What feedback are you getting? What's the best way to advertise and get response? What's the best headline and message that gets people to respond? Okay, what's the best media to advertise and get the best results? Okay, chances are you're not going to know any of this stuff unless you start testing. So you should test early, test cheap, and you get some results. Give out information and use sources such as YouTube and other social media, webinar attendees to get a gauge on message and topics your prospects want to know more about. I do webinars often just to test the headline and the topic. Do people like the topic? I can tell based on how many people register for the webinar. And if it's a popular topic, I'll write a free guide and a free report on it, for example. Use media that you could test small and cheap. Facebook and pay-per-click advertising are perfect examples. You could start with Facebook with dollars per day and scale from there. And for $5 a day, you can figure out what works on Facebook and what doesn't. That's why I like about Facebook. And then eventually you go to hundreds of dollars a day when you figure out what works. What message works? What kind of ad? What do you say in the ad that works? What images work? You could find all that out by testing. I could tell you a long journey we went through on Facebook. We tried real images, and those got some results. And then we used custom-made images that we created. Those got even better results. Then we used pattern interrupt images that just make you stop in your tracks because they're not things you would normally see with text overwritten them, and that got us the best results. But we went through this with a number of tests. You have to test and figure out what works. Facebook is an amazing advertising platform to advertise very, very cheap to actually get a good feel and see what actually works. Okay, this is why you test small and test cheap. Does Facebook get you better results than Google or direct mail? What words in the headline make all the difference? You got to test and find out. That's why you want to test when you start marketing. Okay, optimization means many things. And developing systems so you can scale is important. You got to develop systems for everything you do along the way. When it comes to sell your business, most of the value will come in the systems you have, okay? So your business must operate just as well without you being involved as it does with you being involved, period. When I sold my credit business, it did better when I left. That was a mixed thing of emotions for me, very mixed emotions, because I felt like it needed me to survive. And when I wasn't there and it survived better, then it made me realize I did my job. I built a company that succeeded beyond me when I left. And that's what you have to do. Nobody will ever want to buy your business if you are the business. You have to quickly step outside the business and the business operate and function without you. Credit Suite will operate and function without me. It does not need me here to survive. Okay. There's a lot of things I do to continue the growth and will continue to, but somebody else could come in and fill my shoes, and the company will continue to survive and thrive without me here. That's because I've done my job, because I realized that the company cannot be me. When I had a chance to get our salespeople to take me out of the sales role, I did so. Every time we grew to a point where I could take myself away from roles and delegate, we did so. So now the business isn't me, the business is its own being, and that's what you have to do. This means you got to grow where you aren't in the business to be successful. And you're actually going to need to get to a point where you're working on the business, on growing the business. You're not in the business doing the day-to-day tasks. This is easier said than done. When you're just starting a business, you are the business. You have no money. You're going to be doing everything. And that's why you got to get to grassroots, get out there, start making sales right away, reapply as much of the money back into the business as possible, start hiring people, even at Upwork at a very cheap contractors and American employees as well, to start doing tasks as you grow and taking more and more responsibilities off of you so you focus on the growth of the business. This is only possible if you optimize, become more efficient, use outsourcing like Upwork, as I mentioned, systems. For example, here's the system we use to manage leads, okay? This is what we call our pipeline. You can see how many people are in each stage of our actual pipeline, okay? And then from here, depending on what stage they're in, different things happen. So if they come in, they start getting emails. And if we're trying to get in touch with them, automated voice blasts will go out to them. So it sounds like an actual person's calling, but it's really a recording that will then help our sales team make contact with that person. We send them emails automatically saying, hey, man, I'm trying to get in touch with you. I know you were interested in business credit. Give me a call. So we don't rely on our sales team to try to make contact with these people. Yes, we hope they will. But then we're also sending emails and sending texts and sending voicemails to those people as well in an automated format. So that automation helps our sales team sell more, because they might call Bob today and go, hey, Bob, it's Ty at Credit Suite. I'm trying to get in touch with you. You showed you were interested in business credit, and I thought I'd reach out. They're going to make that call. But then we're also going to send automated voice blasts. We're also going to text Bob. We're also going to email Bob and say we're trying to get in touch with them. And all that stuff works automatically just because they put them in this sequence. Maybe the pending sale. The customer's interested and the sale is pending. Well, in this sequence, then we start sending them emails with testimonials. We start sending them emails with end results so they know what kind of expectation to get from us. We start sending them credibility emails, for example, that show our reputation online, etc. We know somebody's on the verge of buying, so we give them all the different stuff we would want them to see to make a better decisions to be able to buy faster. We do that automatically for our sales team. That allows our sales team to sell, and with automation and systems behind them, to have a better chance of succeeding. So when a new lead comes in, again, they're going to move them through those opportunity stages, and moving them through that automation, we then activate these kind of internal sequences where we do different things based on what is actually happening, what sequence that person is. Is it a pending sale? We're trying to make contact, etc. Now, there's a lot of different ways to advertise: cold marketing, radio and TV, direct mail, SEO, pay-per-click, Facebook ads, for example, social media. So you can do ads on social media. You can do survey calls, text marketing, magazines, newspapers. You could do Craigslist and yard signs, for example, affiliates, networking events, sales webinars, seminars. I mean, it goes on and on. There's no end to how many ways you can market. Although if you're putting a lot of free content out there in advertising channels, then my next really, if I were you and I had to make some decisions, I would go to networking events like BNI Chamber of Commerce first. That's where I would spend most of my time. I would then work on building affiliate relationships locally, and then I would do some online stuff too. I'd do a webinar every other week, put a bunch of free content out there, start building an email sequence, as I mentioned, and then I also do some Facebook ads really cheap and start testing some things there. That's where I would dedicate my time and money and get the best results. But all these will work. It's just how much time, energy, and money you want to dedicate. Now, in this start scaling stage, now you need to focus on your distribution model. You've kind of figured out what works. Your product's performing well. People like it. Now you just need to get it out there. The faster and more you get it out there, the faster you're going to grow. So you need to replicate what works. Focus on improving and increasing ways to distribute your advertising, your information. Online marketing and offline. You might want to do seminars offline. You might want to do regular, Facebook ads online. Affiliates, relationships with big partners. You got to focus on what works and doing more of it. Just a few examples of how to distribute. So as you grow, and again, this is exactly where we are right now as a company. Is we're starting to scale this year. It's a great place to be. We know we've got our Facebook Facebook ads dialed in. Our model works. Our sales funnel is dialed in. We're getting in more and more and more enrollments because we figured out what works. Now we start spending more and doing more of what we know works and increasing our revenue and profits, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the part you're going to get to hopefully within 1 year to 3 years into the business. And then it's just you got to figure out the best distribution model. I've told you what ours is, online and offline. We use a lot of Facebook. We use a lot of free social media channels. And once you figure that out, then you can start doing more of those. So as you grow, you need to focus on maximizing. And an example of that, for example, is YouTube did well for us. So then we started to go to Facebook Live or Periscope. Periscope Live did well for us. So then we started doing live on YouTube, live on Facebook. That's an example. Once we figured out what worked, we did more of what works. Next, we'll be tackling Instagram Live because we know live works for us. Okay, and that's when we, pick up the phone and go live and teach a lesson, for example. And you can go to creditsuite.com/scope and see our past Periscopes to get a better example of exactly what I'm actually referring to there. Okay, so maximize. As you grow, you'll need to focus on maximizing what's working while correcting what isn't. You'll want to maximize on what you've learned to become more efficient and more profitable. You can manually do this through metrics. Okay, it's crucial that you track all that you're doing. Get as much data as you possibly can. Data makes a big difference. So we just went through last week and had our analytics guy tell us how long people stay with us. When they enroll to make monthly payments, how many people drop out after 3 payments and 6 payments, et cetera. And then based on that information, we're making all kinds of decisions. So if we see that everybody's dropping out at 6 months, well then in month 5.5, we're going to do 12 things to try to make sure that we have the best chance of retaining that customer. We can do 12 things at month 5.5 because we have the metrics to support that month 6 is where they drop out. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just giving you a simple example of how metrics work. Metrics help you make better decisions because you can use the data to actually act on and get better results. So key performance indicators or KPIs are crucial to monitoring while your business is growing. What key things can you look for to verify where you're going and the direction where you're headed? So for example, for us, we look at enrollments. We look at how many new partners enrolled to sell business credit. How many people enrolled for us just to get business credit and financing, for example. How many people came in directly just to get financing. Those things are indicators of future success for us. So you got to develop your own KPIs to indicate what's going on and if you're heading in the direction that you're headed. Okay, revenue, profit, sales, profit margins, new opportunities, return on investment with advertising. Those are just a few of the KPIs. Your revenue could be an indicator of going where you want. Your profits, your sales, all those type of things can be. Now, they are called lagging indicators and leading indicators. Leading indicators indicate to you something that's going to happen. It's something that happens before it occurs, and a lagging indicator, something that's after. So revenue, for example, is a lagging indicator. Revenue tells me something after it's already happened. We already made the revenue. The amount of revenue tells me the result. There are also leading indicators. For example, new opportunities. I showed you earlier. How many new opportunities come into that stage? That's a leading indicator. I can tell based on how many opportunities are coming into a stage what kind of revenue I'm going to make. That's a leading indicator. It leads to the result of revenue. Once I see the revenue, well, that's a lagging KPI. That's a lagging indicator because it's already happened. I can't do anything to control the revenue that took place last month, but I can look at that to see, okay, that was good or bad and make adjustments accordingly. So leading indicators, lagging indicators, there's a lot involved with KPI. So, woo-hoo. Long, huh? We went a long time today. But again, I wanted to show a lot of stuff involved with going through and setting up and growing a business step by step, just like the title is. So, we went through it all. We went through setup of a business and bank account and EIN and entity and name and setting up your business credibly for lending reasons. And we talked about everything to do with advertising and marketing and developing massive action plans and mission statements and business plans. And there's a lot of great information. This might be something you come back to again and again. And this might be something that you come back to and slowly go through the video and just write out a lot of the things that we talked about here to map out the steps. Remember, one of the things I talked about was getting business credit. It's important to get capital. If you're interested in doing that, text EIN to 855-982-1820. You'll get a free guide. We'll email you free information. We'll send you weekly text training tips. That's once a week. We'll send you a short video that teaches you something cool that can help you as well. And if you ever have any questions, if we can ever help you in any ways you start and grow your business, reach out to us, 877-600-2487, info@creditsuite.com. We would love to be able to help you as you go through this process and start, build, and grow a successful business. So thanks everybody very much for coming to the show today. I really appreciate it. If we could ever be a help with you in building your business credit, text EIN to 855-982-1820. If we could ever be any help for you in obtaining capital, obtaining credit, or more questions about business growth, reach out to us, 877-600-2487, info@creditsuite.com. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.